Ever feel like your past is too broken to lead to a beautiful future? Then you need to hear the story of the man who turned a dirt-poor childhood and a troubled start into one of the most legendary music careers the world has ever known. It's about fighting fate and winning. Born into nothing. Literally, Louis Armstrong didn't come from humble beginnings. He came from no beginnings at all. In one of the roughest neighborhoods of New Orleans, known ominously as the battlefield, Louis didn't even know his actual birth date for most of his life. His father abandoned the family when Louis was just a baby.
They walk on the bandstand, they know they're going to get something good. They know jive, and they know it.
Well, now it's up to Uncle Sam, because getting a little rough over there.
His mother, Mayanne, did her best to raise him and his sister, often working long hours and sometimes leaving the kids with their grandmother to survive. They had nothing. No money, no stability, no protection from the violence around them. In the streets, he absorbed the sounds of music, gospel choirs, marching bands, ragtime tunes. The air around him was alive with rhythm and soul, even if life was constantly trying to beat him down. At the age of 11, Louis got into serious trouble. In a moment of youthful mischief mixed with desperation, he fired a pistol into the air during a New Year's Eve celebration. That one act landed him in the Colored Waifs Home for Boys, a reform school that was as much about discipline as it was about rehabilitation. It was there that he met Peter Davis, a music teacher who noticed something special in young Louis. Davis gave him a cornet. Louis didn't just play it, he breathed it. The cornet became his voice, his lifeline, his hope. He practiced tirelessly, and soon he was leading the school's band. It wasn't long before everyone started noticing. After being released, Armstrong didn't have much. He worked odd jobs, delivering coal, collecting junk, anything to support his family. But every free moment was spent with his horn. He'd play for pennies on street corners, sit in on jam sessions, listen to older musicians, and learn. What he had was raw talent and relentless passion, and that caught the attention of Joe King Oliver, one of the leading cornetists in New Orleans. Oliver took Louis under his wing, teaching him, mentoring him, even giving him his old cornet when he left for Chicago. That gesture wasn't just a passing kindness, it was the start of a legacy. In 1922, King Oliver invited Louis to join his Creole jazz band in Chicago. For a young man who'd never left New Orleans, this was both terrifying and thrilling. But Louis was ready. The world just didn't know it yet. His powerful emotional playing turned heads.
Cats, They're
all cats.
And for them from the heart, which gave them the reputation.
People had never heard a sound quite like his. It was bold, clear, expressive. Louis didn't just play notes, he told stories through his horn. He soon began recording, performing with legendary artists like Bessie Smith and Fletcher Henderson. Every note was a step further away from the battlefield and closer to the stars. Inventing the sound of a generation. In the mid-1920s, Armstrong began leading his own bands, the Hot Five and the Hot Seven. Songs like West End Blues didn't just showcase his playing, they redefined what jazz could be. Louis introduced the world to the concept of the solo in jazz. Before him, jazz was more ensemble-driven, and perhaps without even realizing it, Louis had become the face of a new American art form. He brought joy during the Great Depression. And through it all, he stayed humble, often signing letters with his trademark "Red Beans and Ricely Yours," a nod to his roots. Breaking barriers. One note at a time. Louis Armstrong didn't just overcome poverty. In a deeply segregated America, he became one of the first African-American musicians to truly cross over into mainstream white audiences. He performed in places where people of color weren't even allowed in the audience, and his fame forced venues to make exceptions. But he wasn't loud about it. He let his music do the talking. Quietly, steadily, he built bridges that others could walk across. In a world trying to divide, he unified, through sound, soul, and that unforgettable smile. Then, by the 1950s and 60s, Armstrong wasn't just a jazz musician. He was an international superstar. He toured the globe, was featured in Hollywood films, and became America's cultural ambassador. And yet, he never forgot where he came from, never forgot the battlefield. He often said, "My whole life, my whole soul, my whole spirit is to blow that horn." When he recorded "What a Wonderful World" in 1967, and yet Louis, with all his scars and wisdom, offered a gentle reminder that beauty still existed, that there was still hope. That song wasn't just a melody, it was a message, and it still touches hearts today. Louis Armstrong passed away on July 6, 1971, but his legacy? It's louder than ever. From dirt-poor beginnings to becoming a global icon, Armstrong proved that it doesn't matter where you start. It's how hard you blow your horn, how much soul you pour into your gift, how many people you lift with your story, and remains one of the most beloved musicians of all time. But perhaps the most inspiring part of his story is not the fame or the accolades. It's the fact that a boy who had every reason to give up, every reason to fail, chose instead to fight with joy, with sound, with soul. Your past does not define your future. Louis came from the worst of circumstances, but he didn't let that stop him from dreaming. One opportunity can change everything. That one moment in reform school with a cornet changed Louis's life. It's a reminder to be ready when your chance comes. Hard work trumps all. Talent is just the start. Louis practiced, hustled, and pushed himself beyond limits. He lived in a time of hatred and division, but he chose love, music, and laughter to fight back. Joy is a weapon. In every dark time, Louis used joy as his light, and it lit up the world. In a world where people often feel hopeless, where challenges pile up, and the odds seem stacked against you, Louis Armstrong's story is a reminder that, even if it's cracked, rough, or unlike anyone else's, that you don't have to shout to be heard. Just speak from the heart. Louis did all that and more. And if he could do it, can you state like, share, and subscribe to my channel Music Lounge, and check out my playlists for more great videos. Until next time, keep discovering the stories behind the sound.